In this short video, I shall be discussing the summary of membrane transport. We know that the cell membrane has to transport various chemicals inside it for various metabolic processes to work. Now, there are various kinds of transport mechanisms, and broadly, we can divide them into whether the transport is happening along the electrochemical gradient or concentration gradient. Now, when a molecule moves along its concentration gradient, that is from high concentration to low concentration, it would not require energy. And that process of transport is known as diffusion. Diffusion can be divided into simple and facilitated diffusion. As I already told, both of them would not require energy because the transport is happening along the concentration gradient. How these two differ is that facilitated diffusion will use a carrier protein. Now, the other kind of transport is where the molecules are coming from an area of less concentration to they're going to an area of a higher concentration, that is, they are moving against the concentration gradient. So that is known as active transport. When the molecules move against the concentration gradient, they would definitely require energy. And so that would be known as an active transport. Any transport that happens against the concentration gradient and requires energy is an active transport. Now, the active transport can again be divided into primary active transport and secondary active transport. The primary active transport mechanisms use ATP as the source of energy, directly ATP as the source of energy. Secondary active transports are those where energy is definitely required, but that source of energy is indirect. What does that mean? It means that it uses the energy of movement of sodium across the cell membrane. When sodium moves across the cell membrane, it creates an energy gradient, and that energy gradient is used by the other molecules to move across the cell membrane. Now, secondary active transport can be co-transport or counter-transport. Co-transport is a kind of secondary active transport where the solutes move in the same direction as sodium across the cell membrane. Now, contrasting it to counter-transport, this is a secondary transport where the solutes move in opposite direction as sodium across the cell membrane. So this is a brief summary of membrane transport, and hope this helped.